Listen. Short story long.
Welcome.
It could take your whole life.
Preach.
Develop clarity.
Second, patience.
If it scared you, you should probably do it.
Whatever you think you don't have, you have something else in its place.
Listen. Short story long.
Go, Woody, go.
Preach.
Listen.
Welcome.
Adam, welcome to the pod.
Thank you, man.
I'm excited, man.
I'm stoked too.
Let's get into, sometimes I do this. We don't know each other at all.
No.
So I'm very excited to sit and chat with you. We have a mutual friend, Courtney, who was on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
Courtney and Carter were both on, and then Courtney came back to talk about their book.
Great book.
Great book, and those guys are doing great things with M13. But he connected us, and I'll be honest, my vetting process for this podcast really is just, am I curious or not? You know what I'm saying? There's no significant guidelines. I'm just curious, and I think when Courtney hit me up and I looked up a little bit of your stuff, I try to only look up an amount that'll keep me still curious, so I don't know everything about you when you sit down. But I trust him so much, and from the little bit that I looked up, I'm excited to chat.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I passed the test.
Yeah. The test is
stoked.
like, hey, I take a look at it. I'm like, yeah, I want to chat with that guy.
Nice, man.
And also, we talked a little bit, but I'm newly on a workout thing. Meaning, I'm 32 years old. I've been doing it for a year now, but for my whole life, I've just been super skinny, and metabolism, no matter what I eat, can't gain a pound. I've tried some little stuff in the past, but this is the first time that I've really committed to any sort of health thing. So I'm excited to just pick your brain on what I could be doing better as well.
Man, please do.
Yeah, I'm going to use this. This is going to be a free consultation.
100%. Yeah.
Interview / free advice.
Make sure you bill them on the
Exactly. Start the clock. So let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you from? What did childhood look like for you? Like, give me that. Give me the starting point of this whole thing.
Yeah, man. Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Yeah, so I grew up in the frozen tundra.
Yeah.
Really blue collar, hardworking family. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a computer graphics and like print press operator, and had two sisters and an older brother, and a very interesting family dynamic. My mom was a complete bleeding heart.
Yeah.
I always had foster siblings or, foreign exchange students who weren't even our foreign exchange student, but they had like a bad family that they, and all of a sudden like somebody's sharing a room with me, and I'm like 12 years old, and all the way to the fact that, one day my mom brought home who now is my brother of 23 years, Danye, who was paraplegic, and
wow,
so like a huge dynamic shift. I got pushed into the idea of like a very caretaker's mentality.
Yeah.
And that really set a lot of the tone for my life. And, everybody always would talk about how incredible my mom was, but my dad would support every decision, meaning that he was just as incredible, if not in some way even more so, as it wasn't his idea.
Yeah.
And he would just take it on. And so,
that's interesting, man. You feel like that has had a huge impact on like the direction you went in life?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I have done so many things for just the common idea of helping another person, and just doing good, that I have worked countless hours for free to help someone who's overweight, or someone who has maybe a drug addiction but won't admit it. So I occupy their free time with training and, my energy and being infused into their life as, a lot of this really catapulted with my brother's drug addiction.
Got it.
So
can I ask you one quick question too before, because I obviously want to get into that. Have you ever felt like it was a weakness of yours that you care so much, or taking advantage of it, or no?
No. No, I was always just a little too smart and a little too raw to be taken advantage of. So it's, don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
Yeah, that's
kind
an
of
interesting combo. Because I know that you were a fighter. We'll get into that too.
Yeah.
I know that you were a fighter for a minute. It's an interesting combo of like being so sort of raw in that way and like don't fuck with me sort of vibe, but also so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Because I've just met a lot of people who had very caretaking type parents or whatever you want to call it, and have sort of felt taken advantage of throughout their life. Like the way that manifests is not all positive, and that's why I wanted to like early ask that question if you ever felt any of that or not.
No, I unfortunately had, I say fortunately because I tried to find a silver lining in everything.
Yep.
But I had a dad that was a little aggressive.
Yep.
And I learned how to protect myself emotionally and physically, and even around like my space.
Yep.
So letting people in, it's like I will help so many people. That doesn't mean I'm letting you in.
Yep.
So, and that's not like a wall thing. It's just like I'm vetting you.
Yeah.
It's a I'm vetting you thing.
Yeah. You
So,
got to, man.
You do.
When you have that big heart like that.
Yeah, especially when you got a big heart.
Yeah.
Especially when you got a big heart and you got a family. Like I got a wife and kids now. So it's like any person I bring into my life, it's like I bring into theirs.
Yeah.
So I always have to be very mindful of that.
Got it. Okay. So taking me back into childhood, keep going. How did that continue to manifest itself? Where were you at in sports and stuff like that?
Yeah. So, yeah, man, growing up, I was introduced to a lot of sports. I was hyper as fuck.
Yeah.
ADD, ADHD, you name it. I think they tried to get me around Ritalin when I was like first grade.
Yeah.
Right. And so my parents had me in gymnastics. I watched Gleaming the Cube 20 times a week, so I was trying to learn how to skateboard.
Yeah.
I was in martial arts, and I played soccer. And a lot of those things kind of just carried through. And I was really competitive at soccer. I was competitive at soccer and martial arts, and did really well in school in them. Going into high school, played soccer throughout high school. I'm balancing like working, playing soccer, helping, with my brother's cares, my brother Danye, I all at the age 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And at the same time, getting good grades.
Yeah.
And just trying to do my best at everything.
Yep.
And at the same time, there's a lot of negative shit that was going on at home.
Yeah.
With my brother. So that was a huge motivator in my life, kind of seeing my brother always struggle with drugs.
Yeah. How did that start?
So, man, I don't know how my brother ever started on drugs, but I've heard stories about, his friends and just the stupid shit they got into in the 80s.
Yep.
And my brother was 13 years older than me.
Got it.
So when I was born in 82, he was already 13.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was a hardcore 80s kid, listening, to NWA and getting pulled over for DWIs and having coke on him and shit like that at 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, I don't understand how in my family dynamic that was a thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's so interesting, the environment that we try to create for our family sometimes, no matter how it is, things can still happen.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you the unanswerable question, at least as far as I know. Now that you have kids and growing up in a place where the same parents made two people that went totally different ways at a young age, what causes the difference? What causes the way that you react to an environment? Yeah, man.
I think it really just all comes down to teaching the children responsibility and self-respect, and respecting them. And I think a lot of parents kind of go wrong with not giving their kids enough respect to exercise their boundaries. And all too often, you read about first kids, the first kid being the kid who has the drug addiction or the suicide rate or, something like that, just because of the, I don't know, the protection or whatever they feel in the very beginning.
Yeah.
That then gets taken away later on in life.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is, but it's something I'm really mindful with my kids.
Yeah, I bet.
That I let them make their own mistakes.
Yep.
And and try to remind them of the mistakes they made so they hopefully don't make it again.
Yeah, it's got to be hard. It's got to be hard because you, especially being such a like tough dude, it's like you feel like, well, shit, I can protect my kids from pretty much anything.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I mean?
feel completely helpless when you see your kid fall down the steps.
Yeah.
You know, like my daughter fell like 3 flights down the steps, like slid on her butt. And I was like, you know what I mean? You're like thinking like the back of her head, like, you know, and I'm 5 feet away. How could I not get there?
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's insane.
Yeah, it's gnarly. And then, so what did your brother's issues look like for you? Like, was it just chaos at home? Was it?
You know, my parents did a great job keeping it together as much as possible. My sister Heidi was, you know, we call her the general. She was just, you know, she was like a rock. Yeah. And when I looked at like my brother and how it affected me, I mean, I remember being like 6 years old. It's one of like the memories that I do recall. And my brother sitting on the chair next to me, and he's like drinking a glass of milk, and he has a seizure, and he falls on top of me.
Jesus.
And, you know, I mean, ambulance comes. I'm sitting outside. All the kids are, you know, from the neighborhood. Like everybody's like, "What's going on?" And I like I don't know. Like my parents are lying to me at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then later on in life, it's like you come to find out what the deal is. You know, and you're like, "Holy shit." Yeah. You know, and I even too like started making some of those mistakes like right after high school, you know, like and playing around with drugs because I was a 220-pound bouncer now, like going to college and, you know, hanging out at nightclubs because that's my job. Yep. And, you know, then it became a little part of my life until I got a call at 22 years old and my brother died of a drug overdose.
Really? Man.
So,
and that pulled you out of it.
Oh, dude, that pulled me out of everything. That just like, that gave me, I mean, I've been healthy since like 12, but like the occasional, like, sure, like I'll pop that Molly or because it was like the right setting. And it was just like taking risks, right? Like unnecessary ones that you don't really think about like at the immediate moment. Like you're living in the present, but sometimes being too in the present is not a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I
like
agree.
all these people talk about mindfulness and being present. I'm like, that sounds like an excuse to take drugs, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it ripped me out, dude. Like I was working out hard. I was doing all these things right, and then I'd be doing that shit. And I also realized that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. Yeah. I was going to school for something I didn't want to go to school for.
What was that?
I was going to school for nursing.
Got it. Was that just?
My mom was a nurse.
Yeah.
Both my sisters became nurses.
Yep.
I loved caretaking.
Yep.
I thought like being a personal trainer for the rest of my life was like a joke. Yeah. Right? Because like, who the fuck wants to be wearing a tank top and like dancing around in front of a bunch of 40-year-old women like when they're 30 years old? Like that was like the mindset I had.
Yeah,
is
I'm
like
down for it. Doesn't seem so bad now.
No, man. Now it don't seem bad at all. And I mean, that's been my life, and that's like what's brought me here, you know, and I respect every single second of it. But you know, at 22, when you're thinking about your life ahead, and the amazing shift that a death has when you experience a sibling dying, and that effect it has on your brain as like a 13-year younger sibling, right? And seeing like life and its inevitability, right? And what can be left behind and what can be left undone. And my brother was an incredible remodeler. He had so much talent, you know, but he had a demon that he couldn't shake. And at that moment, like, man, when my brother died, I heard an ad on the radio, and I was on my way to go see his body, and there was an ad on the radio for the Milwaukee Rumble. And it was called the Tough Man. Remember the yellow boxing glove tournaments where like those dudes are just beating the shit out of each other? Yeah. So Hal's Harley Davidson, you know, sign up for the, you know, Wisconsin Tough Man, right? I drove straight over to Hal's Harley Davidson. I signed up. And I was like, yo, I don't know if I'm going to ever do this, because I always thought about fighting because of like my martial arts when I was a kid. And I was just like, I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I'm like, right now I'm so pissed off that I need to like do this. Yeah. So I signed up, and 2 weeks later I fought in this tournament.
How'd you do?
I did well.
Yeah.
I knocked the first dude out in 12 seconds. And
really?
He was 20 pounds heavier than me because I entered the heavyweight class. And all I had to do was lose 1 pound to be considered a lightweight. Yeah. And I was like 205, and he's like, the cutoff's 205. You just want to like lose 2 pounds? I was like, no. Yeah. I'm like, he's like,
you wanted the challenge.
I wanted, yeah, man. I just wanted to like, I wanted somebody to feel what I had, and like, and at the same time, you know, I didn't know this, but I wanted to feel something too.
Yeah.
And that was a really interesting evolution and growth that happened throughout what would become like 6 years of fighting.
Yeah.
And, you know, 3 years of professional fighting and, you know, battling through like injuries and, you know, just never really facing like what had happened.
Yep.
And, you know, through that, always learning like the physical stuff, the health, because I always had this passion.
Yeah.
But it definitely, that death definitely shifted everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. Let me ask you this too, because like to really understand the shift. So you went through high school, did really well. You went to college and you, I'm guessing did well, right?
Well, you know, just to jump back, my freshman year, I failed my first semester because I was smoking weed and skipping class.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went from doing super well to like just starting to get, that's where you started to get off
like
a little?
Middle school was tough because of like ADHD and I didn't come into my own really.
Yep.
You know, and then high school hit and my sister who was only like 2 years older than me, her and her friends, she had some hot girlfriends. And, you know, we were just smoking weed after school or before school, you know, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, and I got an F and Mr. Farney kind of looked at me and was like, what the fuck, dude? You know, and he was the wrestling coach.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a wrestler, but he was like, you know, I expect you to do better. And I crushed it. And I ended up jumping from like a 1.4 to a 3.5 and, you know, 3/8 like the rest of my high
It was
school.
really sparked by that sort of disappointment from Mr. Farney.
Yeah. And this teacher, Mrs. Cernovich, who recently passed away from breast cancer. And it was, when I saw that, I was like, damn, like, because they like learned that I just had like a different learning style.
Yeah.
So
thank God for people like that, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, not to get too like on that path, but like the fact that a kid can simply hear the right person with the right tone say, yo, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And in your brain, your young little brain, it registers, damn, I am fucking up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that can sort of alter your whole path is insane.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think like having a rough relationship with my dad, which then like, so not having really like that many male figures that like believe in you to like then, you know, have a couple, you know, that spark certain growth and development, even though it's just like this small little touch. Yeah. But like, that's how important, you know, we are as people is that we can like we can have that amount of that impact in like just a matter of seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, man. It's so interesting to me because it's also something that like, you know, as I grow and evolve, I also realize it's not as easy as just being everybody's cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that person now too. And you're like, yeah, I get it, dude, because you fucking want everyone to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's something about the like honesty with the tough love mixed with the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's not as easy as being like, okay, I got it. So now I'm just going to go out and tell everyone you fucking got this because that's not going to work.
No.
It's interesting. It's interesting what causes those shifts. So then you got it together and finished high school well.
Totally. Yeah. It was, I mean, there was like a series, there was even like a conversation with another teacher where he told me I had bad friends.
Yeah, it's good.
And I was like, interesting. Yeah. You know, like I didn't see him that way, you know, but the minute he said that, I didn't do anything about it. But then those friends over the course of a year did show like how those habits that they were doing, even more so than me, because I had this kind of general conscious about what was going on. Yeah. Like I didn't skip school. I would skip like first period.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why Mr. Farney was pissed because it was biology.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like 18 absences in one like semester or something like that from first period, you know, and he was like, so yeah, I mean, so it was, yeah, man, I graduated, you know, with honors, which was amazing.
That's amazing.
You know, I wanted to play, you know, a big college soccer, but I had a really bad lower back injury.
Got it.
Ended up playing like at a JUCO, where I was going to nursing school. Yeah. And then everything kind of just boiled down with came down with my brother.
Yeah.
And
so through that period, sorry to
no, man, yeah.
I understand it. through that period, like, how did you feel? Meaning, did you just feel kind of like, okay, well, I don't know, I'm doing my job, I'm doing well at college, I'm gonna be a nurse, I guess. Like, was it good, but a lack of passion, or like, how did it feel?
Yeah, man, definitely a lack of passion. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be in the gym. I wanted to be reading, something around fitness, nutrition. I wanted to like create shit, but I just didn't see an outlet for that with like the type of like childhood, like the scope, the narrative I was given as to like how you get a job, how things work. Yep. You know, even down to our guidance counselors. I mean, they're the ones that fucked up in school. Yeah. Just the guidance counselors. Yeah. Like they were like the killer of all dreams. Yeah. Right? Because they were like, oh, it's one of these 32 jobs. Yeah. It's like, oh, fuck yourself. I had all one of those 32 jobs and none of them worked. Yeah. You know,
and when you have the label as the one who's supposed to know, you're like, all right, well, fucking, I guess I trust.
Right. You know? Yeah. So I mean, I finished strong, and when I went to college, when I left college, it was strictly because I did not know exactly what I wanted to do, and at the exact same time, my brother had passed away.
Got it. So that was coinciding.
Yeah, for sure. And there was an opportunity that like came back up where I was always somebody who sought out opportunity, and like if opportunity presented itself, I wouldn't be like, oh no. I'd be like, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. Yeah. You know, like if a job was out of my reach or whatever, or within my reach, but I didn't necessarily want it, but I wanted to hear about it, or like hear like maybe like the benefits are so amazing, and like maybe parts of the job, I don't know, whatever it is. Yep. So I took an electrical apprenticeship exam, and there was 1,800 people that took the test, and 45 were picked. And I was one of them. Wow. And
what does that mean exactly? Electrical.
So electrical apprentice, it was 80 hours a week. I mean, a year. Yeah. So 2,080 hours a year of on-site location work on a job site. I was an industrial commercial electrician. Got it. So I was working with like really big pipe and, wires that like wiring skyscrapers, like going off the side of a building to like mount lights. One of my favorite jobs, I did all the internal lights of the Minneapolis, the Minnesota Twin Stadium. Yeah. That was pretty amazing. Pretty cool. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, anytime I ever see like a game flicking by on TV, every single one of those lights that lights the entire field, I took a compass and a protractor and like did calculations that would light the field evenly based off of like schematics, right? In the middle of winter. Yeah, that's pretty sick. In Minnesota, right? Like, so it's a memory. Mm-hmm. So that's what an apprenticeship was like. It was 5 years of that. Yep. And I did all 5 years, and I was fighting at the same time. It was a perfect job because I could eat every 2 hours. Yep. I got to be physical all day. So when I was sore in the morning from like sparring or whatever it was, I could like move around at work and like kind of work it out. And by the time I get to practice that night, I was ready to go again, practice 4 hours, go to bed, 10 o'clock, wake up 5 in the morning, do it again. Yep. Yep. And that was my life for like 5 years. And about a month before I took my journeyman's test, I got laid off. Uh-huh. It was 2008. The recession hit pretty fucking hard. Yep. I went to the union hall, and on my way to the union hall, I called my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, if there's more than 100 names on this book, a book is something you sign when you get laid off. You literally, it's so primitive. You literally go to the union hall and you sign a book. Yeah. And you're that number that's going to get called. Yeah. I mean, you're basically like, so I'm like, if there's more than 100 on that list, I'm looking at least with the economic situation we're in, I'm not going to work for at least a year, and I'm not going to sign the book, and I'm just going to commit to fighting full time. Yeah. And I went, and I was like number 390. Jesus. 390 guys got laid off within the course of like a 1 month period, one and a half months. It was insane. Yeah. And so I didn't sign the book, and I went all in on fighting. And I mean, I already was all in. Like all day, I'd be like on my phone with like my teammates or like my manager, and like getting in trouble for texting and shit at work all the time. Yeah. But then, I went all in, and I got to be part of some incredible training camps. Yep. Brett Rogers, when he fought Fedor Emelianenko in Chicago, where I met Big Black.
Oh, really?
Hung out with him for like a whole weekend.
Wow. Yep.
And we went to Fogo de Chao. That man could eat.
He sure could. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
He was so funny.
He loved all those fights. He would go to all those.
Oh,
things.
dude. Well, he sponsored. He sponsored Brett Rogers, the Grim Rogers, back in the day.
Yep.
And Brett was like sponsored by like Remedy and like all that. He was like a big up and coming fighter at the time.
Yeah.
And he fought Fedor Emelianenko at the Sears Center in Chicago.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, I fought my 4th pro fight, and I just stomped the dude, and I felt so good. Like the next day, I like beat him in like I made him like tap by strikes.
Yeah.
I like hit him so hard on the ground, he like started tapping after like 3 hits.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are professional fighters. It was just like, it was a really bad matchup.
Yeah.
I felt so good the next day. I went into practice and I just did kind of a nonchalant little like roll down thing, like in like a little back rollover, and my shoulder separated.
Jesus.
And it
like
was
a fluke weird thing.
Oh, dude, it was very fluke. It made no damn sense. I mean, it was like my shoulder was sticking out like 4 inches.
Oh.
And
that's the worst. I've been injured, but like when you have like the crooked limbs and you know what I mean?
I was like, ah!
Yeah.
What is that?
I'm not good at that. I've never had one of those, thank God. And oof, I don't think I'd deal with it well.
Oh, dude, it was, what made it really scary is like, I'm like sitting like this and I'm flat and I'm like, ah. You know, and I'm like looking at it and they're like, don't move. And I'm like, what? And I like rolled down and it goes, and I'm just like, oh my God. And my ligament got pinched. Ugh. In between my AC and my acromion process, and like where the shoulder and the clavicle and like all this shit kind of like connects is like this like little hook in my whole tendon. Man, it was gnarly. So that was the end of my fighting career.
There you go. Yeah, I would. Yep, I don't blame you.
So yeah, man. I mean,
so did you know how long until you knew that was the end of your fighting career? Like, was it pretty quick?
Yeah, no. I appreciate that question because what happened at that moment, I joke about it now and I laugh about it now, but I broke down into tears that I hadn't, when my brother passed away, I never faced it. Mm-hmm. Like I was the one who read the eulogy, like I kept my shit together. Yeah. And I kept my shit together for like 6 years. Yeah. And when my shoulder popped, I had this like emotional release, and there's this thing in science and health and in the body in which like we don't fully understand yet, but our body holds emotional trauma in our fascia. And our fascia is like the one thing that cannot be stripped from us. It's like interwoven within everything. Yep. Like our nerves, our muscles, like everywhere. Yep. And when that happened, I had the craziest emotional release in which I exploded into tears. Yeah. And I no longer was like this angry, person. Mm-hmm. And I like looked at my friend and he's like, he's like, does it hurt that bad? I'm like, no. He's like, why are you crying? I'm like, because my fighting career is over. Yeah. And I feel so good about it. Yeah.
Instantly. You're laying on the mat saying this.
And I was like, this is my way out. Yeah. And it was like a door was opened in which I didn't even know existed. Yep. Because I had blindfolds on, because I had never faced my shit. Yep. Because I wasn't being tough, I was being weak. Yeah. In a lot of ways, because I wasn't like facing it. Yep. And that put me in a place in which I only could face it because all I could do is wrap my arm up and walk around and, do some shit. Yeah. And so I packed my bags and I moved out of Minnesota and went to the promised land, LA,
where dreams are made,
or fucking smashed,
or shit up.
To be continued.
So, man, that's amazing. Okay, so you had to get surgery?
No.
How'd that work? No, they could just pop it back in you.
So I was really fortunate to have found an individual that had a certain technology that took muscle, it allowed fiber and tissue to contract and lengthen. Yep. And the type of frequency it did, it like my shoulder healed. I had like these micro tears and like all this stuff, and it clicks and doesn't feel totally normal all the time. Yeah. But like, it's a lot better than getting cut open. Yeah. When when they have like bionic arms and shit that are like perfected, I'm totally down for that, you know. But for
For
right
sure.
now, this
Until then, let's stay away from the
he's
knife.
doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I show anything, it's always with my right arm.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at me.
And then what was the goal? Like you moved to LA. What's the plan?
A girl.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, it was a girl that,
it usually is.
It was a girl that I had met.
Yeah. That lived out here?
That lived out here.
And you met her back home?
I met her in Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
Shout
out to Ohio.
Shout out to Ohio at the Arnold Classic.
Okay.
She was in the business.
Yep.
And she was, you know, come on out. And I came out and I was like, yo, this is everything I ever thought like LA would be.
Sure is.
And I stayed in a hostel above Hermosa Pier.
It's amazing.
Yeah. That was amazing, bro.
Jeez.
And it was like dead season, so I literally had a whole hostel room to myself for only $300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Stay there for 2 months. Me and the girl ultimately didn't work out.
Yep.
It never does.
Well, not usually the one you move for.
No, usually, usually not. Usually not. But it definitely opened my eyes. So, you know, she was kind of in the TV world, and I was like in the fight world. But UFC and like fighting was not what it is. Yeah. Where it's like if I would have been at the level that I was then, a lot more people would have known about us. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But it was very dissected. Yeah. So now I moved to LA and I get introduced to an agent. And within like 2 days of living here, I, you know, have auditions. Yep. And within 2 weeks of being here, I got booked for a commercial.
Amazing.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was right at that peak time where anybody who looked badass was ugly.
Yep, got it.
Right?
Yep.
So like 2009, there weren't a lot of tough, good-looking, tattooed guys.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's like there's tons of them. Yeah. There's a million of you beautiful,
that's
tattooed,
the look now,
good-looking guys. Yeah, I mean like
that's the hot new look.
Yeah. So that kind of that was the thing, and so I got a lot of gigs for being a professional MMA fighter.
Yeah, that's great.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was like, you know, I mean, even though nobody knew of me, but I was a professional MMA fighter, so it totally fucking worked.
Yeah.
So I had a short stint here. I worked in. I thought I could, you know, train some more, but anytime I trained, I like started thinking about competing again, just because I'm competitive. Yeah. So I started like exercising my my training legs. Yep. And I started taking all the stuff I learned through the 6 years of fighting and all the years of reading muscle magazines and working as a trainer when I was younger, like all these things. And I decided to work at this celebrity fitness gym over in Hollywood. And the dude that owned it, Mark, just, you know, took me in with open arms. He was like, you know, a shit ton, like you're so personable, fucking love to have you, and set me up, and I was able to pay my bills for a little bit, and I get a call again, man, and you know, this time it's my dad, and you know, I get a call that my dad is diagnosed with cancer, and you know, this is like the longest I'd gone without seeing my parents, and I instantly was like, I gotta go home. So things just started kind of like moving in a weird way in LA for me, where, you know, it was like I had just auditioned for like Biggest Loser. Yeah. You know, and they were like, we fucking love you. Yeah. You know, I mean, I just got this commercial.
That's like right before that call comes? You're saying things started moving and then you get this call. And then I
get this call.
Got it.
Literally, I get this call while I'm on set doing the Ab Rocket commercial, which was the commercial I booked after only being here for a couple of days. Yeah. And, you know, my dad had like some, you know, he had been diagnosed with diabetes a little earlier. You know, I would say there was more to talk about LA, but there really wasn't. It was just like first time out. It was like head down, try to find a job, figure out a purpose, you know, in some sense, work at Cheesecake Factory, fucking hate your job, you know, like go and be a trainer, love your job, get a shitty call and move back home.
And how long did you go back home for?
For a while.
Yeah. Like years?
Yeah, years.
Wow.
So
that was just to be around. And
I was 28 years old, and me and my dad had a rough, you know, relationship. So I encourage anybody who ever tells me that they have a rough relationship with with any one of their parents to like resolve that shit in some way, right? Because it's nothing you want to like go unsettled.
Yeah. And were you able to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I moved back home and I surprised my parents and I immediately got a job. And like literally like the next day I get a job and I'm working at this high-end whiskey bar on like the popular street in downtown Milwaukee. And two things happen there. I meet my wife, who's the hostess, and we married 6 months later. Wow. I know she was not knocked up. Wow. We didn't have kids till 3 years later.
Good for you.
And we have now been married 8 years. So we're just crushing statistics.
Just crushing it.
So, 2 kids, 8 years later. Yep. And I mean, and so that happened on the street. And for the first time, and I found it in my very first investor for my first business. Yep. And I would be lying if I didn't say that you, as a part of my TV childhood, starting young and reckless, was not in my mind in some fashion, as I've always been a fan of like urban and like streetwear. Yeah, yeah. So I opened up a gym called Drench.
That's so cool. I'm so thankful.
Well, dude, there weren't a lot of people that you saw like in a Midwest show that was like a regular dude, good at skateboarding, like whatever. Yeah. But like started your own business. Yeah. And like, I remember like, who knows, I've been on a reality TV show, so now I know, what shit's like, but like, Rob like razzing you or like people,
for sure.
People razzing you about like what young and what's this, yada, yada. But then like, I mean, it's like, and I did something.
Yeah, and even though that was spruced up for TV, it wasn't far from the actual.
It never is.
It's like, how do we take, Drama wants to start a business.
Right.
Good for him. How do we make this a thing? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, how's this actually translate into TV language?
Right.
But it's just funny, man. I just quickly, not to interrupt and tell my own story.
No, man, I want to hear it.
It's funny when people say that type of stuff to me because it's now there's been this weird amount of time that has passed where people who have done real things say things like that occasionally. Meaning, you're a legit dude with a real company, a real career, a real whatever. You're not some like young fan from Milwaukee that's saying, hey, that was in my mind when I started my thing. Right. And so it's just because now it's been 10 years since I started Young and Reckless.
Damn, it's been that long.
It's been 10 years, yeah. In August, it'll be 10. And so now it's getting to that point where it's like legit people are saying, oh yeah, that affected me. And that's a whole different feeling than, not to discount the 14-year-old in, anywhere, but when you're young and you're doing autograph signings and stuff like that, and it's 14-year-olds saying, oh my God, you're so awesome, it's different than a grown person saying that really affected me when I was younger.
Right on,
you know
man.
what I mean?
Fuck
so that means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean it, man. I mean, like I said, there wasn't a lot of influence in that like kind of mindset of how big something could be in my life, because like everybody was very blue collar. So it was like work for somebody and that's how you get paid.
For sure.
Right? Yep. So I decided to start my own business because after, I made a joke earlier, but literally 32 jobs in my life, I realized that I am not made to work for anyone. I'll work for people in the sense of like, I will help you. But I am not working for you. Right? So I started Drench and started as like 1,000 square foot gym and with a $30,000, investment. And, got him to reinvest like $100,000 and 6 months later and grew it to a 6,000 square foot gym. And in less than a year and a half, we were like the gym to be at in, Milwaukee where, and to like a lot of people listening, it may not sound a lot, but like when you have 300 people in Milwaukee paying $100 a month, in a place that only costs you $3,000 a month and you're doing it. And I mean, like when you're having local hotels ask you to build drenches in their workout rooms and that are like nationally recognized hotels, I'm like, oh shit. Like I never thought about like how this could be bigger than a gym. Like I just thought I could do like a really dope gym and make like $30,000 a month.
For sure. That's how it always starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then comes the next thing and the next thing and like, that's the fun part of it, man. So then what, did you go do that? Did you open other mini?
So what I realized quickly is that I am not the operator. I'm a connector. I'm the microphone.
Yep.
You know, I'm the creative. So like branding and imagery and that is like my jam, like everything I see in pictures.
Yep.
So when somebody says like type this up or like do that, I'm like, yeah, I need somebody to type this up and do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like I could tell you exactly what it's going to look like and you need to take notes.
Yep.
Right? And so I wasn't good at that part, and I also had not the best business partner.
Yeah.
And who had too much of the business at this point, and I didn't realize what I was doing in the beginning.
Yep.
Right? So after about 5 years of being in business, I have, you know, the relationship with my dad.
Yep.
Drench was, I've heard something from somebody. It's, you know, in life, things come to you for a reason, a season, or life.
Yep.
Right? And Drench was a reason. I needed someone who could do basic repairs. My dad was retired. I paid him. It gave me an opportunity to have a relationship with him.
Yep.
That we could like ease our way in through, in which I was his superior,
Yep.
but I never exercised that. But I told him where to show up and when.
Yep.
And he knew like what he had to do, and he knew he had to be a certain way to me because I was paying him 15 an hour,
Yep.
you know, 20 an hour, whatever it was, you know, to like do X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And throughout the years of my dad battling leukemia, he showed up every day to keep doing that, as I believe he too wanted to fix what was, you know, broken between us.
Yeah.
And when he got really sick and my gym was really successful, and I mean, I had like my own morning show on like on the news, like where I come in like once or twice a week and I like do this whole, you know, breakdown of like exercise and like this, and, you know, my gym had now grown to this large gym, and, you know, my dad would like brag about me to like nurses and, you know, and stuff, and to say like how proud he was. And, you know, hearing that, if it wouldn't have been for that, you know, and if my dad like wouldn't have seen like my first child being born, you know, I don't know how that, like, I needed that, you know, cause like I needed that type of closure. Cause, you know, I'm a tough guy, but man, I got feelings.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, you're the blend. We talked about it in the beginning. Yeah. You're the combo.
Yeah. I'm the enigma.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, I and that's where I get back to the idea of like, you know, like nothing is too big to overcome. You know, there are things too big to overcome, but there are a lot of things that can be overcome, you know, between two people. And Drench gave me that, and it gave me a great place to really build myself up and learn things in a way that were low risk. And I had a safety net, I had a family there, I had all this. And I've always been good at burning boats, you know, not bridges, but boats.
What's that mean?
So you don't want to burn a bridge because you don't want to kill a relationship.
Yeah.
But burning a boat is a way to commit.
Yeah.
Because you have no way to go backwards. And I burned a boat when I left Wisconsin for Minnesota to pursue my fighting career further. I burned the boats when I left Minnesota to go to LA. I burned the boats in LA to come back to Wisconsin. And then I burned the boats in Wisconsin so I could, you know, really just live my life, you know, after my dad passed away. And, you know, so it's like my daughter's born and it's the highest high. And then my dad dies 3 months later. It's the lowest low. To coming home a month later to like grab my daughter, you know, from her nap, you know, because I've been working all day, and seeing a little sign that says I'm going to be a big sister, you know, and having another baby and like getting that like lifted back up, you know, but still having to go through a lot of shit that almost tore like me and my wife apart just because losing your dad ain't fucking easy. You know, because now I'm dealing with mortality in a whole new way. Like, wait, Rothfelder men don't live too long. You know, my dad dies at 72, my brother dies at 35. Like, life isn't looking that great for me. You know, in the longevity arena. You know, I know my brother overdosed, but like you can't like tell you know, like the reasoning inside your mind doesn't totally get that. You know, it's disconnected from that because it's just thinking death or life. Not a reason. So you just become very aware of things. And that's when I realized like shut down Drench. And it took a long time though for me to do that, you know, and some other amazing things came that gave me that ability.
Yeah.
And but yeah, man, you got to burn the boats if you're really gonna go all in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that whole like way of thinking, you know?
Yeah. Well, if you have a safety net, like you're not going to go all in.
No, you're not. And then where do you live now?
So right now I live in Austin, Texas.
Got it.
After my dad passed, it was like one of the things my dad always worried about me. So when I said it was really good to hear, like he always worried that I was going to be like my brother.
Yeah.
And that's like what he would tell me, like when he would like smack me, like you won't be like your brother.
Yeah.
You know, like somehow he's going to beat that out of me or some shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And ultimately I was never like my brother because I want to be great and I want to be great for everybody else.
Yep.
Right? And when my dad realized that I was in a really good place and like the business was in a weird place because I knew I wanted to shut it down, and everything came full circle from LA. Yeah. So that interview with The Biggest Loser came back around. Yeah. Year after year, I auditioned. They would ask me to re-audition. They're like, I think this is your year. I think this is your year. I think this is your year. Yeah. 5th year, they hit me up. I think this is your year. And I'm like, guys, like I'm sick of making these fucking videos. Yeah. They're like, no. This is a different show. They're like, we want you. Like, just do the formalities, please. Yeah. And so I did it. And that was like a 6-month process. And within that process, I also get a call from my agent in Chicago. And it's like, hey, man, you just got booked for Versace with Gigi Hadid.
To model?
Yeah.
What the shit? You're a supermodel? You're a freaking supermodel this whole time?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, if you got it, you brands you want me to rep, just let me know.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I can pay your rate.
Yeah. It was, I don't know what my rate was back then, but it was pretty dope. That I think it was like $3,000 a day. It was pretty cool. I mean, Gigi's was like $100,000.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. She was model. She was model of the year that year. Yeah. It was pretty crazy. I mean,
so that went through. You went and did
so
that.
So I find out about this show, and then I'm leaving in like September or some shit, or August, something like that. And then I find out about, and that's like a process, but then I go and shoot this Versace shoot in New York City with Gigi Hadid. And, I meet Donatella there, and we actually became friends, and it was like really interesting, just kind of like being on set for 5 days with these people. It was my first day on a set. Like I had spent like a month on set a long time ago. But like being on a set with somebody like Donatella Versace, such like a character. Yeah. It was like incredible. And I'm on set. So it happens. I fly out to New York, 5 days, hanging out with supermodels and Bruce Weber, which is an incredible photographer. Yep. Got his hand slapped recently. Yep. With the whole Me Too thing. Yep. Which I believe is what killed the Versace campaign from coming here. And they reshot it with a different photographer.
Really?
It launched, but only in Europe.
Got it.
And you can Google it, but like me and Gigi, we have this whole like kissing scene, and like she punches me in the face, and I like joked about
the whole video, everything.
Oh, dude, it's incredible. It's incredible. There's a back. I'll send you a link to the behind the scenes edit that they put together for a promo. It's on YouTube. Yeah. It's incredible. Like the background footage is just amazing. There's like a whole scene where I have acupuncture needles throughout my whole face and the half of my body. Yeah. Where they just sat there for like an hour putting acupuncture needles in me so I could like, in underwear and shit. Yeah, I could barely move because like if you moved, you could like feel the skin like it was like Yeah. But yeah, so I shot that Versace thing. It was incredible. And then I come home and I have 1 month, and then I leave for NBC, where I leave my wife and now my 2 children for 3 months.
Jesus. And what was that show?
Strong.
Got it. What was it, a training show?
Yeah.
I noticed you used the right arm.
Yeah. It was on NBC originally, but now it's on Netflix.
Got it.
Hashtag Netflix strong too. Let's do this.
Yeah.
No, I honestly, if it ever came back, I would not care. Yeah. But it was an awesome opportunity, and I killed everybody in it until I fractured my leg.
Filming.
What
happened?
I was fucking around with some parkour. I do like some weird shit for like, I like to move differently.
Yeah.
I like to do a lot of weird stuff from like balancing to like jumping on things and like testing precision or, just whatever it is. I don't really necessarily like work out. Like I don't do burpees, I don't do like shit like that, is generally seen in somebody's exercise program.
Yep.
So I was messing around practicing and there was like some dew on the bar and I slipped and smacked my shin.
Yep.
And just the night before in a competition that I had won, there was this, if you could imagine a giant wheel that is like, let's call it like 30-foot radius, a wheel.
Okay.
And it has climbing grips around it.
Yep.
And there's 8 rows for the 8 remaining contestants of the original 10 of the best trainers in the world.
Okay.
And these are like legit incredible trainers. Like these guys are like, one of them is the Ohio State University head strength coach. Like one, but we're competing against each other in like feats of strength and agility or whatever, along with our contestant. So who's trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
So the fate of us staying on the show rests on me not losing this thing to save us from going to the tower.
Yeah.
And this tower is where you go to be eliminated.
Uh-huh.
Fucking TV. So
I love it. You gotta love it.
So everybody knows that I can climb and I'm crushing the climbing thing. And at the end, there's like, so the wheel, and I see the 2 guys, they're like down at the quarter side of the wheel. And I'm like just a touch above them. And I kicked my legs and I like butterflied so I could go up as high as I could to grab the highest rung. Because I knew if I grabbed the highest rung, the speed of my weight, because I was heavier than both guys, would just pull the wheel down too fast that they couldn't climb it, and they got sucked underneath it and they just got shot out the back, and that's like what happens. And
I gotta watch this.
Oh, dude, yeah,
it sounds incredible.
It's amazing. You got to watch it on Netflix. It was a fun show. I mean, we killed it. Like we were put in the tough time spot. Like everybody on the show, like I had my hardships. Like when you watch a show, like everybody was against me, man. Yeah. Like and they like everybody was like, man, I just want anybody to win but Adam. And I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like I'm just a guy who's just not too afraid to just be himself.
Yeah.
And like you guys are all trying to be something on TV.
Yeah.
Like that's why we didn't click. But now looking at it, like everybody played their role. If it wasn't for me, the show would have been boring.
Yeah.
I mean, I said the shit that like people wouldn't say. Like if somebody was messy in the kitchen, I'd say something.
Yeah.
I'd stay up 2 hours to clean the kitchen, wake up in the morning and scold everybody the next morning at 5 a.m. that the kitchen was fucked up.
Yeah.
So when I look at the show, man, it was an amazing experience. And it brought me to LA. Mm-hmm. Gabby Reese was the host. Mm-hmm. And she was, her and Laird took a fondness to me. Yeah. And they asked me to become their movement coach for their specialized training thing that they do that costs, tons of money, that you go and hang out at their house in Malibu.
Yeah.
And, and have this incredible experience with top level coaches. Yeah. And so I came out and I did that. And about 6 months later, I kind of went on my own way. Yeah. And started training Blake Mykoski, the founder of Tom's. Yep. Along with some other incredible people.
Do you train Courtney?
I do train Courtney. Yeah. When about 6 months ago, he kind of got buff for a minute. Yeah. That was me. Good
work. Well, you haven't seen him in a while?
Yeah. Well, no, he got hurt. He he tore his ACL.
Got it.
And
Jesus. From what?
I don't know. I mean, maybe getting out of bed. I don't know. No, it was
That's my worst fear is like a weird adult injury.
And I'm not joking when I say get out of bed. I think it was like something like very kind of like freak accident. I can't remember, but I do remember like during his rehab, he ended up falling down the stairs then, and just kind of like kind of further injuring. So, but he's now got a beautiful gym garage that I designed for him.
Nice.
And
he's back in action.
He's back in action. Whenever he's home, he travels a lot.
And so are you out here all the time?
So, no. So I moved to Austin just recently. So I stayed here for 3 years. I was training Blake. I was training some really cool people. Got connected to some great professional athletes and like all this type of, shit that happens out here, right?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And but I saw a short side of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. Like, the 30-year-old me wasn't bad. It was now the 40-year-old in the tank top was now the problem.
Yeah, that starts to get a little iffy.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm the 40-year-old looking at like 20-year-olds doing like
flipped.
Group fit. Yeah, it's like it's weird now. Yeah, it's like so when I'm thinking about that and I'm looking at my 2 little kids that probably will need braces or some shit someday. Yeah. I'm like, I need to figure out something better. Yeah. And I am never short on ideas. And when I owned Drench, I had an idea for a company called Strong Coffee Company, Strong Coffee Co. And it was a coffee shop, and we made different specialized coffees. Yeah. And needless to say, it didn't go over too well in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee.
Wouldn't imagine.
Nope.
Gourmet coffee is not exactly more of a coastal sort of Austin thing.
Yeah. So we failed miserably. Mm-hmm. And this time it was different though. I had a plan, an incredible product, and the way it all happened was funny. I mean, I got introduced to Ben Goldhirsch, who is the founder of Good.
Got it.
And the former CEO of Good and Upworthy.
Yep.
And I had just gotten home from a fitness show, and I had been testing out. I think it was like I was at the 5th version of Strong Coffee at this point, and I was training Blake. I was training all these people, but I wasn't telling any about them. I wasn't telling any of them about anything. I was just kind of doing it, showing them I'm focused as their trainer. Like not trying to like cross any boundaries. A lot of people do that here. Like a lot of people are like,
there are no boundaries.
Hey man, you want to invest in my company? Like you don't like. You just fucked up the relationship. Yeah. Like don't enter into the friend zone nor the work zone.
Yeah.
It's the workout zone.
Yeah.
Blake one time just told me, it was like, hey man, make me the best athlete. I'm like, got it. Check.
Yeah.
That's my box. Like I get it. Like that's what you need me to be. Right. So I stayed that. And one day I finally was like, Blake, I really need like 2 clients. Money was like tight, kids, wife. I'm the only one working.
Yeah.
And, rent, LA, it's crazy.
Yeah. Adds up. All that adds up.
Yeah, all that adds
That's
up.
a lot of
So I go to Ben's house. It's my first time training him. And he's such a good dude. He's so like such an interesting character. He like shows up to the door in his boxers. And he's like, oh hey man. He's like, let me get dressed. He's like, you want some coffee? And he goes, oh fuck, I don't have any coffee. He's like, fuck, I don't have any coffee. And I'm like, hey man, I got some coffee in my car. It's not like totally coffee, but it's coffee. It's way better than coffee.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, get this magical shit. Yeah. I'm like, cool. You go put some clothes on.
You get some pants on. I'll get the coffee.
Yeah. So, he gets pants. I go and make Strong Coffee for the first time for anybody but like me and my friends in the fitness industry. And his wife comes down and she's like, what is that amazing smell? And she's like, I thought we were out of coffee. I thought we were quitting drinking coffee. I found out that they were quitting drinking coffee.
That's why there's no coffee.
Yeah. So Ben's like, he brought coffee. She's like, well, now I want a cup. So both of them gave me the huge sighs of approval as it went down into their taste buds.
Yep.
And at 5 a.m, I get a call and was like, hey man, can you bring more of that Strong Coffee over? And I was like, well, I don't have any. You guys drank it.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, what? Well, when are you gonna have more? I'm like, well, that's just like a formula sample. Like I don't, it's not in production yet. He's like, well, how do we get that going?
Yeah.
And so I put up a business plan and presented it to him, and Ben Goldhirsch became my angel investor.
That's amazing. That's a perfect example of like sort of playing your spot, and then the moment sort of finds
totally, man.
itself. You know what I mean?
I had no. I mean, I was literally in talks with another supplement company
Yeah.
to launch my product as a product in which I would get a percentage of the sales.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I almost do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like now it's like I've built, you know, a company over the last year that's, you know, gotten some incredible people involved.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's moved down to Austin, so I had to burn the boats.
Yep.
I can no longer even be present to be a trainer.
Yep.
Because the minute people know I'm even here, people are like, Courtney's like, man, you want to squeak in a workout?
Yeah.
You know, or like,
Yeah.
right? Like anybody is like, hey man, you want to squeak in a workout? And it's like, wait, you want to like hang out and work out, or you want me to like train you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do that.
Yep.
I burnt that boat.
Yep.
So moved to Austin, and I have a backyard.
Yeah.
It's pretty epic.
The joys of Austin.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
don't get
like,
that in LA.
No,
Not
I mean,
unless it's,
I got
know.
a 3-bedroom house and a backyard.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm pretty proud to say that I'm not paying $3,000 a month in rent anymore. So
That's great.
yeah, man. I mean,
And then, so what's it look like? Like, what's going on with it now? What's the plan moving forward? Give me kind of that idea of it.
global domination.
Yeah, right? I would imagine, right?
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
So Strong Coffee Company is a company that is focused on making breakfast badass again.
Yeah.
Like our goal is to provide great ways to start your day strong so that you can finish strong.
And what's the difference? What's so badass about it?
So like our initial product, our premier product, our latte, which is strong coffee, and we just call it strong coffee, right? So it's we have 3 flavors, and each flavor has the same nutritional benefits. So a single serving of strong coffee has 15 grams of collagen protein, 5 grams of MCT oil. There's coconut water extract, which helps with hydration through electrolytes. There's hyaluronic acid, which is it's a compound that helps the body absorb, soft tissue absorb more water. So like 3,000 times more.
Yeah.
And then there's some special amino acids for overall control of the caffeine so that you're focused and not jittery or distracted through any type of anxiety.
Yeah.
And then there is a very highly specialized and highly studied neuroscience-backed compound in there called Neurofactor, which has been scientifically proven to improve a protein in the brain called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factors.
Yeah.
And what brain-derived neurotropic factors, basically without them, there's another good acronym for BDNF, is brain does not function, right? So depression, anxiety, fog, like all that type of stuff, cognitive function, and overall like brain health. So like neurodegeneration as far as Alzheimer's, and we're not curing anything, right? But neuroscientists and like huge studies have shown that this product increases that certain thing that we need increased in our brain, especially in America, because inflammation is so high here that our brain doesn't get the proper nutrients it needs, which is why Alzheimer's and dementia are so much more prevalent in America than almost anywhere else in the world. Yeah. So when we look at like what makes strong coffee that much more badass than any other coffee is that we're not hiding the fact that coffee is dehydrating, right? We're not hiding the fact that coffee causes anxiety, because it does, right? We're not hiding the fact that coffee competes with magnesium and, or that coffee overpromises and under-delivers cognitive benefits. Like it has caffeine and it does increase BDNF by like 20%, but that's like nothing, right? Like 120%, that's something, that's quantifiable, right? Like that's doing something. And so we put everything in our product to help you recover, rehydrate, and re-energize, which is what coffee should do, right? Like you should feel refreshed. You should feel energized after a delicious cup of coffee. And you shouldn't have to put dairy and sugar and like artificial sweeteners to make that happen, right? Where you can have a product like ours that if you just put it in hot water or cold, it instantly becomes a delicious latte. And you can put it in hot milk or cold milk, like whatever, but it's lactose free, It's gluten-free, GMO-free, refined sugar-free.
Yeah.
And I mean, it tastes like anything you would get at Starbucks or even like better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And what is
Can you beep out that name just so I don't get sued by them?
Yeah, absolutely. You get it, beep. And then what is like, just on the most practical level, what does it, because you sent me a bunch, I just haven't tried it yet, being honest. What's the difference I feel? Like I feel less jittery, but do I still get the same energy boost?
Totally, man, yeah. So, yeah, so you were saying, Danny was saying that like Celsius or, he'll drink coffee or Celsius, right? Well, caffeine, little scientific biology fact, like we only can absorb roughly like 300 milligrams of caffeine, right? In a period. Yep. And there are a lot of products that are putting way too much caffeine in there. Mm-hmm. And that's not doing us any good because we're just getting over ramped up. Our breathing gets thrown off based off of our heart rate. Yep. And now we switch from sympathetic, parasympathetic breathing starts happening. So we go from like our belly to our chest, right?
Yep.
So once we start chest breathing, we trigger anxiety. We trigger, which then creates tons of other issues, depression, lack of work productivity, like whatever it is, right? It paralyzes you in some way, anxiety. And it's a huge paralyzer in America. And so is dehydration. Like 76% of America is dehydrated. Yeah. So a lot of the things that we're feeling, the I'm tired, even potentially things like restless leg syndrome could be contributed to dehydration, right? To anxiety, through tension, right? Where we're looking at how do we release that? So when you drink strong coffee, you get a buzz, but it's like a perfect buzz that gives you this laser-like focus that if you're staring at a computer screen and you're drinking this, the coffee's gone in 10 minutes and 5 hours later you're blinking, right? Mm-hmm. And not a single jitter, not an anxiety, not a crash, not a nothing, not even a hunger, because you're getting all these great fats and proteins right away, right? So it's like you're taking care of the nutrients. It's not like, nobody sends their kid to school without lunch. I mean, some people do. You're a fucked up parent if you do, but like you don't want to send your kid to school without lunch. Like they don't have energy for the rest of the day, right? Like you going to work without like your breakfast. Like you wouldn't send your kid to school without breakfast, right? Like if you're a caring parent that wants them to perform at like the best way. Well, everybody that is skipping breakfast is creating an opportunity to like fuck up, right? Because they're not starting in a way that is giving them what they need, to help hydrate, to help recover, and to help energize properly so that they don't become more fatigued as the product like wears off.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, this is the part where I ask you some fitness stuff.
I'm ready, man. What? Real quick, do you drink energy drinks?
Well, I try not to.
Okay.
But I grab the occasional Red Bull. We have a damn cooler full of Red Bull in it. You know what I mean? I'm mainly a coffee guy.
Got it.
So I drink coffee in the morning. I drink a coffee when I get here to the office. And then sometimes I'll have one like around 3 or 4 p.m. I do, however, tend to get a little lazy and grab an energy drink.
Got it.
Which I'm not proud of.
It's all right.
Why?
I just wonder. Yeah, I based off like your age and like, like if you're, so when I look at like energy drinks and like coffee, I in conversation, I'll be like, oh, coffee is sophisticated energy. Yeah. So like at one point it was like always Red Bulls or like whatever. Yep. And then you entered a workspace or something in which like coffee became like the acceptable norm. Yeah. However, what's funny is like there are things in energy drinks that actually are healthier, in some ways than coffee because of like the L-tyrosine that's in, Red Bull is great for like your adrenal receptor, your adrenal receptors or, and that's why they put them in there. I don't know how much is actually in there, but when I thought about strong coffee, I was like, how would coffee be if coffee didn't exist and somebody made coffee an energy drink? Yeah. And made it really healthy.
So it's like the best of both.
Totally.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Health questions.
Because I want to give some, before we finish, I want to make sure I give some stuff that people can take home. Here's the big one. I guess I'm going to start sort of obvious and cliche, and then we're going to get into it. What's the number one thing that is misunderstood, in your opinion, about working out, fitness, general health level, anything in that. You know, I mean, we obviously have a problem in this country of obesity and poor health and all that stuff. What would you say is like the number one glaring thing that when you look at all that, you're just like, well, this is just stupid?
Yeah. That's a good one. The narrative.
Okay.
So we have a very different narrative around movement and eating than almost anywhere else in the world.
In what way?
In a way that we created like these like food group categories.
Yeah.
Where like breakfast means cereal or pancakes.
Yeah.
Right? Dinner means potatoes and roast beef.
Yeah.
We've been so over marketed on what to eat through the government.
Yeah.
Because of food subsidies and what they're growing and what they need to sell.
Yep.
And how they need to feed, you know, the population in their mind in an affordable way.
Yep.
And then there's the tear with then the health side. And there is a constant new trend that is coming up there. So it's like you have this like steady voice in the government that, you know, is misinformed.
Yeah.
And then you have the other half of the population that has too much information.
Yeah.
And
So the truth is,
it's in the middle, man.
yeah.
I mean, it's not sexy, but balance is fucking sexy, right? Like it is the best thing. It like when you look at the word diet itself, I mean, it means temporary,
Yeah.
right? So if you're on a diet, it's a temporary thing. That's a narrative right there. Like the semantics of the word themselves. So like breakfast, right? Breakfast is not a meal. It's an action. You're breaking fast, right? When you break fast, like what are the important things that you need to eat as a human?
Yeah.
Because if I asked you how to like program your Bluetooth phone into your car, you could give me step-by-step instructions over the phone.
Yeah.
Right? You'd be like, hit this button, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's like, it's the same amount of knowledge you would need to understand what you should eat after a workout.
Yeah.
Right? So I think like the biggest thing is that we're just confused. We have too much information and we have too many people that, you know, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way. And reality is like, they're all trying to sell some shit.
Yeah.
And really what I'm just trying to sell is the idea that you have to find balance. You know, you don't have to work out 7 days a week. I work out 3 days a week. Yeah. You know, I walk other days, you know, and do activity with my kids all the time. I sit in squats. I infuse health into my life.
Yeah.
I don't make it a part of my day. I make it a part of my life. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing that we're missing here is that we just 1 hour, this meal, right? And it's like, it's extreme. I'm going to do this new diet. Do you see that new pill? I'm going to take it.
So any of that extreme stuff is bullshit.
Well, because
in a way,
because it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it's unsustainable, then you're going to have to find a new way.
Yeah.
Right? And yo-yoing is one of the worst ways. Right? Because then you create like metabolic dysfunction, right? You can create a lot of issues. I mean, eating disorders. I mean, intermittent fasting, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Keto, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. So paleo is almost for everybody because they're just saying like, stay away from inflammatories and things that we know have hormones and stuff like that in it. Paleo is more of like a food category per se than like really, you know, it's kind of become a food category.
Yeah.
Where it's like keto is like eat fat. Yeah. You know, and people are like just indulging on massive amounts of calories. It's like you don't need to eat that many calories though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and what about like if you could sort of simplify and say, look, this is what you should be doing, like try to slowly add this into your life. What would that be? What are the most important things?
Yeah. So I think 1, hydration.
Yeah.
So
how much do I need?
So yeah.
2 of these? Will 2 of these do?
Well, no, definitely not. So the problem with hydrating in today's world is our water isn't rich in minerals and electrolytes. Okay. Unless you're buying electrolyte and mineral enhanced water, right? No.
Is this?
So I don't believe so. Okay. No, that's actually
not that smart.
Yeah, no, smart is actually like created through, the reason it's smart is because they create it through condensation. So they're like creating the water.
Real smart guys.
Yeah, real smart.
Okay. What's
Genius.
smart is how much they charge for.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, keep going.
So,
Sorry.
No, so hydration. So I recommend for anybody to wake up, grab 3 glasses of water, and throw some mineral salt in the first 2 glasses of water, all 3 of them. Just like a
How much?
like a quarter teaspoon.
Okay.
Right? And that, or just like douse your mouth with like half a teaspoon and just swallow a bunch of water, right? That works too if you don't want your water to taste like salt for 3 glasses. But like water's the mineral salt's extremely important for the hydration aspect. So I look at like the fact that 80% of us are dehydrated.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge start on what we could do that could start helping us right away.
Yep.
The second thing is I think that we should all start trying to work out in the morning. So I truly believe that like the stronger we start our day, the stronger we finish.
Yep.
Right. So,
Also, I want to just say from my own experience, like I've learned there's a willpower issue here. And like if you start the day accomplishing things, you kind of use your willpower to your advantage, and that starts to sail you into the rest of the day.
it's called momentum.
Yeah,
Right.
as opposed to like you wake up kind of lazy, you're like, oh shit, I gotta do this thing. And then you get home at 7 p.m. You're like, oh, I still haven't worked out. You're never gonna do it.
Right, exactly. Okay. So so people like on Mondays are like, it's Monday, get motivated. I'm like, fuck that, man. Like, you don't need motivation when you have momentum.
Yeah.
Right. We say when we get out of bed, what do we say? We roll out of bed.
Yeah.
Well, if you're rolling out of bed, keep rolling.
Yeah.
Right. Like just keep going. Like roll out of bed, go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth. Yeah. Wash your face. Go work out. Go do something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just do it. And once you do it once, and then you do it twice, and then you do it 3 times, it starts becoming a habit, right? I've been waking up at 5 a.m. since I was 22 years old.
Wow.
Right? Even on my off day, it's random if I ever sleep past 6 a.m.
Jesus.
Like I'll wake up at 6 a.m. like, like fuck.
Like it's 2 p.m.
Like what time is it?
Where am I?
Yeah. Like, oh no, like I'll usually be like, the kids.
Yeah.
Like what, and like Kevin,
Yeah. They're dead asleep.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. Dead asleep, or they're watching cartoons and they like destroyed the pantry, one of the two.
And is there any other than momentum, is there any physical reason why or
Yeah, for sure. So one of the most important reasons of why we should work out in the morning is the psychology, right? The psychology is huge. Like if we're looking forward and we're doing things, right, that's going to like empower us through the rest of the day. And a lot of us could be a lot further than we are if we just felt more confident in who we are, right? So that's a big one, walking into work with a nice pump.
Yeah.
The second thing is sleep is highly affected by activity throughout the day. Yeah. So there was a study done that if you worked out in the morning prior to noon, you had pretty damn good opportunity of REM, right? Like your REM cycles, which are really important for storing long-term memory and brain health. Okay. Yeah. So it's like downloading like your USB drive and like clearing your drive. And that's like part of like REM, right? Yeah. It's like clearing your drive so you can take more in. Yeah. Right. And when you look at somebody who works out after noon, between the hours of noon and 4, they have, like 60 to 70% less REM than the group that worked out before noon. Yeah. Right. Then there was a group that worked out 4 p.m. to like 7 p.m. Yeah. And they had like 50% less REM. Yeah. Then there was the group that worked out at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and went to bed. Yeah. And they had like 20% REM. Yeah. Right. So I think that if you're looking to optimize yourself, that working out in the morning makes the most sense. Yeah. Right? Especially if you're, having problems with like being tired in the morning. It's probably because you're not getting enough sleep, good sleep. Yeah. Right? And you're dehydrated. So it's like if you get better quality sleep, you get your hydration on. Yeah. I mean, those are 2 big things. Yeah. My third big hack is protein and vegetables with every meal. Mm-hmm. Recent studies have come out. No, I'm not protein crazy because, I'm some meathead or something. Yeah. Protein has literally been shown to not only improve our lean mass, our body, which we need to carry us structurally, and that as an aging population, our views on protein have like diminished our muscle in older people now. Yeah. So it's actually a problem in which they're too weak to do certain things that other generations before them had no problem doing.
Yeah.
Because of their protein intake was higher.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at protein, I like to get protein first thing in the morning. And that's why it's
What's
in
that
strong
look
coffee.
like for you?
So it's in strong coffee.
Okay.
So what I have for breakfast, I have my 3 glasses of water with my mineral salts. I have a strong coffee, and I have a bowl of oatmeal. Oatmeal is actually very high in protein. It's also really high in something called beta-glucan fiber.
Okay.
And beta-glucan fiber is a specific fiber that probably does the best job of controlling blood sugar.
Yep.
And blood sugar is really the thing that we should be looking at, which is why ketogenic diet is so popular right now, because it's suppressing, blood sugar and sugar, glycemic, spikes and blah, 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 which then store more fat cells because, yada, 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 right? Like all the science. However, if you work out regularly, you burn glucose, right? You do need some. It's good for the brain. It's not bad for the brain. It's not bad for the muscles or the joints, like unless you're eating a shit ton of it. But blood sugar spiking, well, that causes like insulin, and that's where like diabetes comes in, which like I think that's like 60% of our population too.
Yeah.
So when you look at what we can do to start our morning good, start our morning strong, is the protein, oats in the morning, and then I usually have like a greens drink as well, or I'll actually just like cook up like a big bowl of broccoli and I'll just eat it, probably for like an hour or two, like snack on it, with like broccoli and like sea salt.
Yeah.
As I'm like sitting at the computer doing like morning emails.
Yeah.
So
got it.
Last hack.
Yeah, please.
Man, just get some damn fitness in. Like do something.
Yeah.
And
what do I do? 'Cause this is the thing
10 minutes a day, right? Because like, what do you do now?
Yeah.
What do you do now?
What do I do now?
Yeah. What do you do now?
I do 3 days a week weight training.
Okay.
For an hour, and then I do in the morning. And then I do 1 day a week of cardio. Like I'll go do a soul cycle class, or I'll do something where I'm sweating for an hour.
Okay, cool. And what's your goal?
My goal is my goal I would say in general is to just get to 170 of lean muscle.
You want a 6-pack? You want to be shredded?
I want to, sure. I'll take one if it's on the menu.
All right.
But like I don't need to be like, I don't need to be like this picture of physical fitness perfection. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to be lean muscle, 170. I'm 167 right now. I'm almost there. I started at 150. And just look healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
That sounds like most men. Right?
Absolutely.
170 pounds, healthy, right? You need protein.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm trying.
I mean, it is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
The men that I meet that have a hard time with getting protein in.
Yeah.
It's like you need protein. Like you want to have muscle. Like you have 2 options. You have muscle or fat.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
I'll take muscle.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like which one, if you want, you have to take proteins because proteins support muscle.
Yeah.
So when people are like jumping out the door with just a cup of coffee and then they have a bagel and cream cheese later, or, like a Kind bar, or, like whatever it is. And then they eat lunch and then they eat dinner. Like you're lucky if you're at 70 grams of protein, and you need like 140.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you're so far under that it's going to be hard to get that. Not you, not maybe.
Sometimes I am.
But
it's so
like,
hard.
If you just wake up tomorrow morning, if you wake up every morning and just slam a protein shake first thing in the morning, and then a protein shake immediately after you work out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you need to go consume dairy. It's like, whatever, go and drink a good protein, a high quality protein shake. You will see your muscle gains faster.
Yeah.
Right. And that is like, we don't eat the right food for the right body types we want. And that's a huge problem.
It blows my mind. Like I knew that sort of theoretically until I started doing this. Like it absolutely blows my mind how much diet affects the body type you want. Not to sound like a complete idiot. So much beyond your workout. Meaning, like I know people that work out a lot and can't lose weight. I know people that, even like me, work out a bunch, have trouble gaining weight. It's like the diet portion of this whole equation is so much more massive than I think a lot of people think. Yeah. I think people think like, look, I want to lose some weight. I'm just going to start running a couple days a week. That'll do it.
So the people that don't lose weight, all too often, it's a cortisol issue, and and they're under eating and they're overtraining. Most times I'm asked the question, like, what's the number one thing you would change about most people's workout programs? And I generally would say, work out less.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have a stressful day and then you go work out, that's stress on stress. Right? Like,
but doesn't it relieve it?
No, it doesn't. That's the thing. Like, so
trickery.
we're not that evolved.
Yeah.
Right? Like before, if you were running as hard as someone is running, most likely you were being chased by a freaking tiger.
Yeah.
Right? Like you were running for survival.
Yeah.
If you were lifting as something as heavy as like 400 pounds off the ground, you are lifting a boulder or like doing something or like pulling down an animal or something with like your 3 friends, like to kill this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You weren't just like, hey, I'm going to go lift some fucking rocks, right? Because like,
it's for Instagram.
Because outrunning tigers and climbing trees all day wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're now in a space where we're like, oh, I'm going to go relieve stress at the gym. It does feel good because it releases endorphins, right? But it also jacks your cortisol through the roof.
Got it.
Which is your stress hormone, which is going to make it really hard to lose weight.
Yeah.
So on the TV show on Strong, the girl I had, she was like the average American girl. She needed to lose 40 pounds, this and that. But she had like on average problems. Menopause, at the age of 30, she's 42 years old. She had fibromyalgia, like all this shit, that I had to like deal with. She worked out. Everybody else's girls worked out 7 days a week, twice a day.
Jesus.
Right? My girl worked out 3 days a week, 30 minutes of intense lifting of those 3 days, and about an hour of carrying a medicine ball that weighed 15 pounds around a track.
Yeah.
Where she would just have to carry the medicine ball like this, over her head, on her shoulder. I didn't care how she carried it.
Yeah.
I was just like, don't set it down and don't stop walking for an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't ever too stressful for her. She was the best in shape. She now 6-pack, shredded. She's like 5 years older than any of them, and she is the best in shape because she kept that mindset going forward and just built up the ability to handle more stress and just trained a little harder, trained a little harder. But before, she was the person who's like, I can't lose weight no matter what I do.
Yeah.
And she was working out super hard.
But how the hell do we learn this stuff? Like, it seems like I can't believe that the world of diet and exercise is so crowded with shit. It's like, who would have thought, if you would have told me, if somebody less qualified than you would have told me that the answer is to not work out as much, I'd be like, dude, come on. Like, what blog did you read? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's so much shit. It's like, where do you find the truth?
I think the truth is it's not on Instagram. I mean, there are people on Instagram.
That's where I've been looking this whole time.
I know.
It tells me how to live.
I'm going to buy Jason Momoa's workout. I'm going to look just like him.
Come on, I have a dope quote that I'm living by right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have you ever seen the guy that did the Rock workout and ate everything that the Rock ate for 90 days and he didn't gain more than 3 pounds?
Really?
I mean, like our own unique biology, right? So I think anybody that's looking for an answer for themselves online most likely isn't going to find the whole answer, right? However, I feel that it's really important to make sure that whatever it is that you are looking at, you're at least intrigued by it. It may not always be right, but if the curiosity continues, you will find the right answer. And that's where like self-testing and everything comes in. I think all too often though, people walk through this space as if the lights are completely on, and yet we should think of it more like a dark room. And that we don't know where anything is, and we have to be very careful with everything we do. You want to take something out of your diet, or you want to put something in it, maybe you should like log how you're feeling, or you should think about that. Maybe you should go get a doctor to see if you are allergic to that, right? Before you go all gluten-free, maybe you're not even allergic to gluten. Like maybe that's not even a cost you have to bear, and you're bitching about the amount of money you spend on health food because you're still, because you need to eat gluten-free because your favorite Instagram person read it, right? And anybody who's giving you that type of advice that says this is what you should do, you should probably not do what they're saying. Right? Like if they're saying more like what I'm saying, like based on your unique biology, there's a lot of different ways in which you could lose weight. based on the type of goals that you have with weight loss, right? For me to be able to make this sustainable for you, this is what it's going to look like. And there are great coaches out there. There are great programs out there. You know, I do online coaching for people, like mentorship. Like you're not going to talk to me every day. I'm not like, I'm sending you a program once a month. I answer your questions. I make sure you know what the hell to eat. You know, it's like mentorship. Like I'm not holding your hand, but I'm guiding you in the right direction. I send you articles to read. Those are the types of things that we can find for, you know, very affordable costs, you know, $100 a month. You can get somebody that knows a hell of a lot more than you do. But you always know more about yourself than someone else will. Right. So entering a workout program is intuitive. Like your trainer, she sounds awesome. But like say you're squatting and you feel something and you're like, oh man, that didn't feel good. Oh, you're probably just cramping. Grab a drink and we're going to come back and do one more set. That's the moment when you exercise your intelligence and you say, no, actually I'm good. What I'd really like to do is, what should I do when I have I think I have a pulled muscle or I did something. What should I do for that now? And then they go, oh, well, we shouldn't stretch because that would hurt it more. Let's go for a walk and drink some water and let's maybe switch to upper body. Right? Where like other coaches would be like, man, fuck that. Just a little pain. Come on, baby. You know, it's like, no.
I get it.
Ain't nobody got to die today.
Okay. It's time for the big ones.
Let's do it, man. I thought those were the big ones.
No. These are the big enders.
Okay, let's do it. I'm excited.
If you could travel back in time, because over here at Short Story Long, we just got a brand new time machine. And it works. And you get to travel back in time to childhood you. I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say? I usually try to pick a time. I'm going to say around when like you're in high school, you're smoking weed with your sister's hot friends. I'm sure like you thought like, man, I'm killing it. You know what I mean? Like the sickest freshman in the world. And you could just, now everything that you've been through, everything you've experienced, you could tell yourself one quick thing. What would you say?
No matter what is put before you, you will overcome.
That's good.
There were a lot of dark times where I didn't know if I'd get over some shit. So.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. Nailed that one. And then here's the last one. If you could prescribe anything that the entire world has to do for 30 days, what do they do?
Love one another.
For 30 days. How do you, let me just ask you, I'm just going to challenge you a little bit. How do you actually, because they could be like, oh,
man,
I'm loving.
Just be kind to one another for 30 days. I mean, I could selfishly say is this dream going to come true? I mean, I could say like drinks.
You can't. They have no money to spend.
Okay. Drink strong coffee for 30 days. No, you know, man, I would just say like, be kind. Like, nobody won an award for being an asshole. I don't think. But
I don't think specifically.
There are assholes that have won plenty of awards.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, if we just kind of stop thinking that we're the most important thing.
Yep.
You know, and that's how I really look at my kids. It's like, how do I make sure that they are the best they will ever be? Because I was the best I could be for them. And I think that's how we have to be around other people. Yep. How can I be the best me? Like there are times that I get caught in conversations that I don't want to be in, but I'm not going to, you know, like I'm not going to like blow somebody by, or I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to say hi to somebody because, you know, on my way here, ran into a dude from like a favorite TV show that me and my wife watch one day at a time. Yeah. And the guy's name is Todd. And I was like, oh, dude, man, great show, dude. You really do a great job. Like, you know, like the show has awesome family feel. Yeah. You know, he may hear it 1,000 times, but that doesn't matter. Like, I have to say it.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I practice.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, where do people find you, man? Where do they get some strong coffee?
Yeah. You can get strong coffee on strongcoffeecompany.com. Okay.
Spelled out company, right?
Yeah. Strongcoffeecompany.com. And we're the same on Instagram, Strong Coffee Company, at Strong Coffee Company. And you can check me out at Von Rothfelder. It's VONROTHFELDER. It's a long Dutch one.
It's okay.
Yeah, man.
We'll
that's where I'm generally at, and I'm down in Austin, and I do a lot of events and expos where I'm slinging strong coffee and just emceeing. I do like a lot of different panels.
Yeah.
There's a great show coming up in Austin for anybody that's listening, or Paleo FX. That's an incredible show that I'll be down at teaching, along with those questions that you were asking me. You want those questions answered, go to this show for 2 days in Austin and get nothing but the truth. It's like all people that are PhD and just like, if it ain't real, if it ain't the truth, they're not preaching it, because people would rip their limbs off there, because there's like the dogma, like nobody's drinking the Kool-Aid there. Like everybody's like, that's bullshit, if it's bullshit. So it's a really great show. So
great.
Yeah.
There it is, man. Thank you so much for doing this. You crushed it.
Thank you.
And I think we, not only told a good story, but added some good value to the world.
Awesome.
Thank you, brother.
Glad I could be here.
Peace.
Guys, if you like that and you want to see more like it, as well as vlogs, other web series, and all the random stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube, don't forget to click that subscribe button. You won't regret it. I promise.